So today we're going to work on the windows or shutters. And I am going to use white, titanium white, raw umber, and cerulean blue. So I'm going to make my cerulean blue more gray, more like soften that blue by using raw umber. You can still see blue, but it's more of a grayish blue. Add white. I'm going to add enough white in here to make it light gray. And really kind of work, just add a suggestion of windows in here or shutters, or some of them are like windows. So, that is going to go down a bit. That's better. And maybe add a bit more white, because this is going to dry darker. It's acrylics, so it's going to dry darker. Yeah, that's good. Oh, let's get a smaller brush or narrower one. Or
That's what I
even
just did.
or use a round one that's more controlled. Yeah. This is still kind of too blue for me. It's kind of taking over. So I'm gonna bring in a little bit of the raw umber in here and more white. It's like a really kind of a soft grayish, earth gray. Let's see. just a bit of a darker blue. This one here, darker grayish blue. And then again, the same thing with this one. It's an open one. I'm going to be putting the glass in there. But I'm going to put use a more of a glaze for the glass. Okay, so let's go to the glass part. Putting a little bit more water in here so it's transparent. Wipe my brush and try to put a hint. When it dries, it will dry darker and you'll see the color of the wall behind it. Same here. We don't want to draw too much attention to this. Okay, that's all. Very simple. I'm going to do the same with the ones at the bottom. Although we see them a little bit more, but that's okay. I'm going to use the same blue, but again, more earthy kind of blue, grayish. Let's take a bit of brown with the blue and just kind of soften. Again, more brown, raw umber, a little bit blue in it, less white. And I'll show you why I'm doing this. I am going to paint underneath the umbrella or behind or those windows in there darker. It's all like a suggestion of shutters. A little bit darker. at the bottom. So meaning I added more raw umber. So I'm going to do these windows and I'll pause. And then we come back and start working on the umbrella. Very simple treatment for those shutters. And then now with my darker blue, using just raw umber and blue, I'm just going to put a bit of detail in here for the slats. Not much, just a tiny bit. Okay. All right. Now for the umbrella, I'm using Naples yellow and ultramarine violet. It's a good combination for the first layer. Gives me that kind of a purplish, beautiful first layer, and then I can highlight over that. And, mix a good amount. I'm increasing the amount of yellow on this side because there's a strong highlight here. Yellow, Naples yellow. Let's take a little bit of ultramarine violet. Now, the bottom part, the side of the umbrella, I'm going to make it darker. So I'm using more ultramarine violet in here. It's a good start. I'm going to let it dry. First layer. And in the back, it is a little bit darker. So there is another part of the umbrella that we see, the back part of the umbrella, and it's tiny bit darker. So I'm going to take a bit of ultramarine violet, more ultramarine violet actually, and a tiny bit of raw umber. And I'm just going to do the back. And if it's not enough, I can increase the amount of the dark part. Or I can highlight the front a little bit more. Now let it dry. Meanwhile, while this umbrella is drying, I take a bit of raw umber, put some ultramarine in it, ultramarine violet. Prepare this. And same ultramarine violet, raw umber, really dark. Go dark. I use round brush, more control. Let's run here. And that's the base where they're sitting. It's a wooden box. bit white. Mix it with that mixture that I'm using, and put this part of the front part and top as well, because there's a lot of light here. Now I would wait for it to dry, and if it's too light, and then I would adjust the color. Same, but I'm using less white over here. Mm. I'm going to go over the chairs on this side, and I will put the chairs on top. It's easier. I'm going to take a tiny bit of brown, actually, into the whites I'm using, and soften this. Same. Darker, a little bit darker here. I think the umbrella is ready for another coat. And keep using my round brush. Take Naples yellow, put some ultramarine violet in my Naples yellow to soften it, to make it less saturated. And then a little bit of white. Okay. Let's highlight the umbrella a bit. The value in here is a tiny bit darker in the back, but you can see a bit of light. And while it's wet, my paint is wet, I'm just going to add a bit more highlights so I can mix them with the darks softly. Then a little bit of a highlight right here. This is where the this is where it stretches. And now I'm going to do the same. I take yellow and purple, mix them, and try to highlight part of this umbrella here. The side. It's more like a glaze. It's not thick paint. It's easier, so when it dries, it will dry soft. In the left side of the umbrella, there's more light, but you see the light I'm putting here is not as intense as the one I put in there on the top. And the more I go to the right-hand side, the darker it becomes. I have to take a bit of stronger maybe brown and purple together, put them together, and just go across and create that sharp. This is when the fabric stretches. You get kind of a pleat. Same here, just a bit. But this one here is not as dark. Wait, let's do this part. Soften this because acrylic dries darker and it dries harsher. It dries harsh. So we're going to soften this. I try when I do these pleats to use wet paint more than just a line. So I wet the base and then add the movement on top. It becomes softer and it looks softer and much nicer than putting that movement, darker movement, on a dry paint. Okay, let's take Now, because this is dry, I'm going to take more again, yellow, pink, Naples yellow, and bit of the ultramarine, go over. And then now I'm going to grab a bit of white, put it in that mixture, and then try to highlight the side a little bit more. This is what's nice about this umbrella. It's just highlighted in certain areas, not everywhere. It's a soft, soft highlight. This is just raw umber and white. And I'm going to paint the post. And darken the umbrella from the inside, from the back side, just a bit. So when I put the post, I can see it, because right now I can't see it. So I'm going to do that. And let's try the post again. Oh, here. I need to wait a bit. I'm trying to paint fast and the paint is still wet, so it's not working. I need to wait for the paint to dry. While the paint is drying, this is Payne's gray, small round brush. Just put a bit of a detail in there. These are very simple lights.
Did Payne's gray and white for the lamps?
Yep, Payne's gray
Yeah,
and white.
okay. Thanks.
Bulb was too big. I had to make it smaller. I'm going to zoom in on those lights. Margaret, can you still see what I'm doing?
Yes.
Okay, good. So this not Naples yellow, Payne's gray is golden. Golden is bluer than any other. It has a bit of blue in it, more than the other brands. So when you put white, it looks blue. My paint is wet, so it's easier to put a straight line. It's not dry. And it's not that straight, so. It's a little bit more light on this one here. Okay, for the bulbs, I'm going to take raw umber, white, and make it into a glaze. So I'm going to put water in there and then make it more transparent. Not too light. Wipe my brush. I'm going to take white now, mix it, put a dot. Oops, I lost this one. Of course, it dries darker, that's why. A little bit of white, dot. Oh. This bulb in the back is too strong. So again, a tiny bit of white and dot right there. And we're good. All right, now, pole or the post of that umbrella is dry. So I can take, again, my burnt raw umber and white and try to put the detail, a bit of detail. It doesn't have to be perfect and it doesn't have to be exactly the same and it doesn't have to make sense. It's just a detail that tells us that this is what's holding the umbrella up. right, this is where we're at for this week. We did the shutters, we did the umbrella, we did the lamps or the lights, and next week, and we did the bottom platform where they're sitting. Next week we will work on the chairs. Hopefully we'll finish. We'll see if we should be finished by the chair, doing the chairs next week. Chairs and cushions. And maybe we'll start on the people. All right.